My child, there is no more room for delay, no more cushion of comfort to hide behind. I have been patient, I have been silent, but now I am commanding your attention. The excuses must end, the fear must bow, the distractions must scatter, because this is not just a message, this is a divine intervention. I am breaking through every wall you built with your delay. I am dismantling the lies you've agreed with, and I am thundering where I once whispered. This moment is holy. The ground beneath your feet is shifting, and what I am about to say will pierce through every layer of spiritual numbness. The silence you built around my instructions became louder than my warnings, and now I must disrupt that silence with an urgency that feels like fire in your bones. You know this moment is not ordinary. Something in you is trembling, and it is not fear, it is recognition. Your spirit is responding to me, even as your flesh tries to rationalize away the weight of this message. But I will not let you miss this moment. I am shifting the ground beneath your feet so that you cannot stay settled where compromise has made a home. You did not ask for a storm, but I am commanding the winds to rise if it means your attention will finally return to me. I am not angry with you, I am jealous for you. I cannot and will not let the enemy hold you 1 second longer. That is why I am not whispering this. I am roaring it straight through your walls. You have delayed for too long, convinced that you still have time, but time has started listening to my countdown, not yours. I need you to feel the seriousness of this divine collision. I have watched you become buried in habits that hollow your soul, and I will not sit silently while what I purchased with my blood is handed over to confusion and a counterfeit fate. You are not too far gone, but you are dangerously close to missing the turn. So I am commanding a halt. I am demanding your spirit look up. I am activating everything I have deposited inside of you to war against the lies you've agreed with. My voice is not optional right now. It is the rescue you have been unknowingly crying for. I am cutting through every other voice, clearing the static and silencing the delays. I will not stop speaking until your spirit stands up from where you have fallen and looks me in the eyes. My mercy is still here, but now it is wrapped in a command, because this moment is not about comfort. It's about correction that leads to resurrection. I am breathing forcefully into your timeline and issuing an order. Wake up. Open up. Receive fully, because the seconds ahead are filled with things you are not ready for if you do not respond. I know it's intense. It has to be. I know it's heavy. It must be. I am commanding because eternity is involved. I am commanding because delay has bred deception. I am commanding because what comes next depends on whether you listen now or pretend this was just emotion. I am not emotional. I am eternal. This is an eternal intervention disguised as a digital moment, designed to shatter apathy before it becomes disaster. If I do not command now, the consequences will speak louder than I ever could, and I love you far too much to let that happen in silence. You did not stumble upon this by accident. You did not arrive here through coincidence or curiosity. You were brought into this moment under direct divine authority because the next phase of your life hinges on this exact word. This is not something to consider when you have more time or to review when you feel more spiritual. This is the breaking open of a sealed instruction written in heaven with your name on it. I am not offering advice, presenting possibilities, or laying out options. I am issuing a spiritual command that carries the weight of heavenly urgency behind it. There were moments I spoke to you with gentleness, and times I waited while you wandered. But this is different. This is a spiritual intersection where one road must be taken and the other must be abandoned completely. This is the place where hesitation becomes disobedience and indecision becomes danger. My order is clear, not because I seek control over you, but because I see what you cannot, and what lies ahead is too serious for you to continue operating on your own timeline. You have cried for clarity, asked for signs, and prayed for deliverance. Now that I have wrapped the answer in a command, I will not let you shrug it off as just another thought. You are not one of the many. You are one of the marked. And those I mark, I command. I do not negotiate when it comes to saving you from a destruction that you do not even see coming. I do not soften the truth to make it more palatable when delay would cost you everything I am trying to give you. There is a time to wait and a time to move, and this is the hour where movement must be immediate. I have seen the intentions of your heart, but intentions without obedience lead to stagnation, and stagnation in this season becomes a trap. This command is not a punishment, it is a rescue. It is the breath of heaven catching you mid-fall before you even realize how far you have drifted. Though it may feel stern, it is because my love is protective, not passive. I am not an observer watching you from afar. I am the king issuing a rescue from within the battlefield you have been silently struggling in. I did not wait this long to speak with suggestion. I am declaring this with the voice that spoke galaxies into existence. And now I am directing that same power toward the restoration of your calling. What you choose to do with this moment will ripple far beyond your understanding. There are people tied to your obedience, breakthroughs attached to your surrender, and deliverance waiting on your alignment. My command is not just for you, it is through you. I am lighting a fire inside of you that will refuse to be extinguished by excuses, fatigue, or fear. The urgency you feel is not panic, it is power. My spirit is igniting a clarity that will override confusion and awaken the direction you have long buried under distraction. This is not about your feelings, this is about your function. I have placed too much inside of you to allow one more day of hesitation. This word is a lifeline, a bridge, and a sword. It is meant to cut away the weights and escort you into what you were born for. The sound of heaven is louder now than anything that has tried to drown it out. Listen, hear me, obey, not when things settle down, right now. I am handing you something sacred and time-sensitive, and I will not allow it to sit unopened in the hallway of your indecision. You prayed for me to speak, and now I am commanding, because I refuse to let you miss it. Respond with your whole being. Heaven is watching. Your world is shifting. The countdown has begun. There is a weight to this moment that even your soul recognizes, and that weight is not meant to crush you. It is meant to awaken everything in you that has been dormant because you have been selected to walk in something bigger than what you are living in now. That shift can only begin when you respond as if this message is a matter of life or death. Because for what is coming, it truly is. I am not standing on the sidelines anymore. I am stepping directly into your atmosphere and piercing the fog that has been blinding you with a revelation that refuses to wait. You have been circling the same decisions, rethinking what you already know, and revisiting places I already told you to leave. Now you have reached the brink where delay has transformed from hesitation into disobedience. I am not angry with you. I am intervening before that delay grows legs and becomes destruction. You do not need another confirmation. You do not need another sign in the sky. What you need is the courage to act on what I have already etched into your soul. The whispers you ignored were warnings. The gentle nudges you brushed off were alarms. Now, I am pulling you out of the loop before it becomes a prison. What I have to show you is not entertainment for your curiosity. It is a strategy for your survival. This unveiling is not decorative, it is diagnostic. I am uncovering what has been hidden, revealing what has been sabotaging you, and unlocking what has been waiting to explode inside you, and it cannot wait another heartbeat. Every second you spend negotiating with your doubts, you lose momentum in the spirit. Every moment you postpone this encounter, you forfeit a divine transfer scheduled with your name on it. You have been stuck, not because I have not spoken, but because you have convinced yourself that your pace does not matter. But I tell you now, your slowness has been mistaken for humility, when in fact, it has been a tactic of the enemy to keep you questioning what I already approved. There is a window that is open now, and it will not remain open indefinitely. What I must show you is time-sensitive, not because I need urgency, but because your next level does. I will not force your obedience, but I will make the weight of this moment undeniable. I have shaken the ground beneath your feet not to scare you, but to awaken you. The trembling in your spirit is not anxiety, it is recognition. Your soul knows that I am serious. Your heart knows that something divine is pressing in. While others around you may be numb to my voice, you are not. That is why the pressure has intensified, why your peace has been interrupted, why your spirit will not let you sleep. Heaven is invading your timeline and demanding a shift that cannot be delayed. I am not waiting for you to feel ready. I am not adjusting this message to suit your comfort. I am moving now, and I am requiring your movement in return. I am about to reveal a layer of truth that will break cycles you did not know were spiritual. This is the kind of clarity that will shake your reality and cleanse the atmosphere around your choices. I am going to open your eyes to motives that looked pure but were poisoning your path. I am going to lift the lid off assignments you called opportunities that were really distractions. This is not casual correction. This is divine activation. I am fast-tracking your freedom. I am accelerating your breakthrough. I am dropping urgency into your bones, because what lies ahead demands a version of you that delay would only suffocate. I am not here to entertain. I am here to ignite. The flame I place in you today will burn through every excuse, every slow decision, and every inner argument that used to paralyze your obedience. My spirit is not pacing in the background anymore. I am stepping into full view, calling your name, placing fire in your feet, and unlocking what has been locked for far too long. The veil is being torn in this moment. The mask is being removed. The burden is being broken. You are being summoned, not consulted. The vision I have reserved for you is waiting at the edge of your response. There is no later. There is no soon. There is only now. The clock of heaven just struck. The atmosphere around you just shifted. What I must show you will alter everything if you move. And if you do not, what you will miss may never come around again. There are no more protective layers, no more gentle coverings. What I am unveiling now will pierce with purpose and land with a clarity so sharp it silences every false assurance you have leaned on. I did not come to decorate your feelings with comfort. I came to expose what is hiding behind your delay, your doubt, and your disobedience. Every time I warned you, I wrapped it in grace so it would not shatter your heart before your spirit could catch up. But now, my mercy is not here to soothe. It is here to summon. I have waited for the moment you could handle the full weight of what has been hidden behind your distractions. Now, that moment has collided with your timeline. You are not reading this casually. You are being confronted supernaturally. My words are not suggestions grasped in emotion. They are swords designed to sever your soul from lies that have disguised themselves as logic. I have watched long enough while you called stagnation rest and labeled compromise as balance. Now I must strip the illusion so that what remains is truth in its purest form, blazing, brilliant, and undeniable. You asked for me to speak, but you expected me to speak gently. Today, I unwrap the kind of truth that shakes your foundation because I refuse to let you build anything further on what is false. You said you wanted clarity, but clarity costs comfort, and this moment is where you choose which one survives. I am not angry with you. I am furious at the schemes that kept you passive. I am tearing the veil with precision, exposing the enemy's camouflage in your routines, your thoughts, and your self-imposed ceilings. My mercy is still here, but it no longer wears soft tones. It sounds like an alarm, looks like fire, and feels like a storm, because you cannot walk into your next season with lies in your pocket. You cannot cross into the place I designed for you, still clinging to patterns I never authorized. I am unwrapping the truth that will liberate you, but only if you refuse to look away. This is not an invitation to analyze. This is a mandate to awaken. I am drawing back the curtain on motives you have hidden even from yourself. I am shining a light on the doors you shut me out of, the ones where you said, "Not yet, Lord," or "Let me handle this one." No more compartments, no more boundaries between what you give me and what you reserve for yourself. I want it all, and I'm reaching in with hands that both heal and overthrow, because what I planted in you cannot grow in the soil of divided allegiance. I am not asking you to feel inspired. I am commanding your soul to be aligned. I am removing every spiritual blindfold that allowed you to call delay wisdom and interpret fear as discernment. No, what you have been feeling is not caution, it is resistance. I am unwrapping it now, layer by layer, until the truth stands naked before your spirit with nowhere to hide. The urgency in your bones is not anxiety. It is my presence brushing against every layer you tried to protect. Let it shake you. Let it burn away the haze. Let it force your soul into surrender. I am not interested in watching you waste another year rehearsing cycles I already broke off your life in the spirit. What you feel pressing in is not pressure from the world. It is me crowding out every lesser voice, so only mine remains. This moment is heaven's spotlight, shining directly on the place where you have been most numb, most fearful, most silent. I am illuminating it because that is where your calling has been held hostage, and I refuse to let it die in a cave of compromise. I am unwrapping the truth, and with it comes exposure. But exposure is not punishment, it is rescue. This is your unmasking, your unveiling, your divine confrontation with what is real. Do not flinch. Do not defend the lies you have grown attached to. Let me cut them loose. I am not here to suggest change. I am here to ignite it because the hour is too late and the assignment is too great. You were not born to carry chains dressed in charm. You were born to shatter darkness with the fire I am unleashing through you, beginning now. You are standing at a crossroads that looks invisible to the natural eye, but is unmistakably loud in the spirit. I need you to know this is not just another passing moment. This is a threshold with eternal impact tied to it. The opening before you is not permanent. The longer you hover in hesitation, the more you risk missing what has been perfectly aligned to activate the destiny buried within you. I am not warning you to scare you. I am revealing the weight of this hour because what is at stake stretches beyond your current understanding. You have been focused on what is directly ahead, but I see the ripple effects, the hidden outcomes, the generational shifts attached to your response right now. This is not about a single decision. It is about a divine domino that will not fall unless you obey. The window that is narrowing was not built by your effort. It was formed through mercy, constructed with grace, and preserved through my restraint. But restraint has a rhythm, and that rhythm is now shifting into urgency. I am collapsing the unnecessary options so that only the right one remains, not to limit your freedom, but to prevent your future from being hijacked by delay. You do not see what I am protecting you from, but I do. I see the trap masked as an opportunity, the compromise dressed as convenience, the shortcut disguised as favor. That is why I am speaking now, to save you from the echo of a choice that looks innocent but carries poison behind its smile. You have asked me for clarity, but clarity without movement becomes judgment, and I will not let you fall into judgment because of what you refuse to act on. I am not rushing you, I am positioning you. That positioning requires full surrender without second guessing. You were never meant to live in limbo, floating between maybe and almost. That is not how my spirit operates. I am decisive, and those who carry my name must learn to reflect that same certainty when I speak. You have delayed because you have been analyzing outcomes. But I do not speak to be debated. I speak to be obeyed. What I have laid before you is sacred, not because it feels convenient, but because it unlocks what was previously inaccessible. If you ignore this moment, you will feel the silence that follows, not because I abandon you, but because I have already spoken, and heaven does not repeat what has already been commanded with clarity. You sense the tug, that uncomfortable tightening in your spirit that makes it impossible to rest while disobedience lingers. That is me. That is my voice echoing through every thought that tries to convince you to wait. But waiting past this window will not buy you more time. It will cost you alignment. I know you are afraid of what obedience might require, but fear of obedience is nothing compared to the consequence of rebellion. What looks risky now is actually your protection in disguise. What looks demanding now is your breakthrough in its raw form. I do not promise comfort when I lead. I promise transformation, and that transformation requires urgency. There is a knock happening in your spirit that no one else can hear but you. I am not knocking at your door just to visit. I am knocking to shift the entire atmosphere inside of you. That window is not staying open because time does not serve you. It serves me. I have assigned this time to your turnaround. Do not treat it lightly. Do not assume you can circle back later. The opportunity you are standing in will never look exactly like this again. The conditions I have set up around you are temporary, but what they unlock is eternal. Choose now. Move now. Respond now. If you could see what is coming, you would run into this instruction with everything in you. But because you cannot see it, I am asking you to trust me. Not with words, but with your movement. Let your step shout your surrender. Let your obedience cancel every echo of compromise. What I am asking for is not for me, it is for you. Because if you delay past this narrowing window, the voice you will hear will not be mine. It will be the sound of what could have been. And I love you too much to let that echo define your next chapter. You did not see it happening at first. How slowly the shadows began creeping into the places you left unguarded. The thoughts you delayed confronting. The rooms in your soul where you silenced my voice just to preserve your comfort. But I saw it. I watched as the moments you pushed me to the side became access points for things that had no right to enter. I was not standing at a distance. Judging your delay, I was right there whispering, nudging, calling you by name before each line was crossed. And now I am not whispering anymore. I am reclaiming what belongs to me. I am shining a light so aggressively that every hidden foothold of darkness must retreat. This message is not inspiration, it is an invasion. I am taking back territory in your life that has been leased to fear, anxiety, doubt, and deception for far too long. You did not realize that procrastination was a doorway. But the enemy did. He crept in through the cracks you ignored, built patterns with your passivity, and tried to make you believe they were permanent. But they are not. What I am releasing in this moment will shatter every agreement you unknowingly made with spiritual silence. You are not bound because you are weak. You are bound because you have delayed, and that delay gave the enemy permission to occupy space I designed for purpose. I am not angry with you, I am jealous over you. I see who you are beyond the noise, beyond the cycles, beyond the regrets. That is why I am confronting what you have tolerated. I am standing in the middle of what has been allowed to grow in your silence and declaring it overthrown. I am breaking the power of every subtle compromise that slithered in when you said later. No more delay. No more waiting for a better time. No more pushing me to the background while you consult logic over obedience. This message, this precise second, is your spiritual extraction. I am reaching into the entanglement and calling your name with a fire that purifies everything it touches. What was once familiar will now feel unbearable until you release it. What once comforted you will now convict you until you surrender it. I am not letting you rest in patterns that poison your destiny. I have assigned this message to trigger a divine revolt inside of you. The tension you feel is not a coincidence, it is warfare. Your spirit knows this is not normal. Heaven is on high alert concerning your life, and this word is heaven's strategy in motion. The territory darkness gained through your delay is being reclaimed violently and immediately. I am restoring vision where confusion reigned. I am resurrecting boldness where fear was fed. I am snatching your identity out of the grip of lies that made you feel too late, too broken, too buried to respond. You are none of those things. You are mine, and what belongs to me does not sit silently while darkness dances. You have given enough ground to indecision. You have yielded enough time to the illusion of someday. I am placing divine urgency in your chest. An unrelenting fire that will not let you sleep in spiritual passivity again. This ends today. This ends here. Every chain that found room to wrap itself around your thoughts because of your delay is now facing the fury of my presence. I am not asking permission to clean house. I am commanding every spirit, mindset, and distraction that found residence in your delay to evacuate now. I am taking the keys back. I am sealing the access points. I am placing a new roar in your spirit, a roar that will interrupt anything that tries to keep you from me from this moment forward. You are not a victim of time. You are a carrier of destiny. This message is not just about stopping the enemy. It is about awakening the conqueror in you. I will not let you keep postponing what I already approved. I will not let you keep negotiating with what I have called non-negotiable. This interruption is your permission to move, your invitation to rise, and your final warning to stop giving the enemy your silence. I am speaking loudly now, not because I have changed, but because you are ready to hear what I refused to say while you were still tolerating delay. This message marks the moment the war shifts in your favor. If you move now and never look back. There is no postponement left to offer, no cushion of comfort remaining to lean on, no safe delay that can protect what I am dividing at this very instant. This is the line, and it is being drawn with fire. I am not waiting for you to feel more prepared, more holy, or more ready to respond. I am marking this second as the boundary between what I allowed in mercy and what I now confront with divine precision. You have been wavering, testing waters I never called you to swim in, and holding conversations in your thoughts that were never meant to be entertained. I have let it go on long enough. This is where my authority steps in and declares, enough. The line I draw today is not negotiable. It is not a suggestion wrapped in emotion. It is a divine separation between what you have been carrying and what I refuse to let you hold on to any longer. There is no turning back after this moment. I am not just calling you higher. I am severing ties to everything that has been quietly choking your destiny while pretending to be harmless. That relationship draining your discernment, that habit numbing your conviction, that mindset convincing you it is okay to wait one more day. I am putting the sword to them now. I am dividing the sacred from the seductive, the anointed from the artificial, the chosen from the convenient. My spirit is not casual, it is surgical. What I cut, I do not bandage back together. I am making a permanent distinction so that you never again confuse bondage for balance. This line is holy. It is not built on fear, it is forged in fire, the kind that purifies without asking for applause. I am doing this because you have been standing in between for too long, with one foot in my instruction and the other in your own delay. It ends here. I am calling you out of the in-between, the halfway response, the near obedience. I do not deal in percentages. I demand everything. You can feel this line pressing against your heart right now, making it impossible to stay neutral. That pressure is not condemnation. It is alignment. You are not being punished, you are being positioned. I am setting the stage for what is ahead, and compromise cannot enter the next season with you. If I do not draw the line now, what you tolerate today will sabotage you tomorrow. I love you too deeply to allow that. I have watched you struggle with decisions that should have been simple, not because you lack strength, but because you kept entertaining what I had already declared unfit. I am clearing the fog now, stripping away every justification you built around delay. You do not need another sign. You do not need another week. You need to step completely over this line and never look back, because what is on the other side is not just a promise, it is protection. I am making the divide permanent. When I draw this line, heaven honors it, hell fears it, and your spirit feels it. I am separating you from the cycle, the narrative, the pattern that kept repeating because you were too kind to close the door. But kindness to compromise is cruelty to your calling. And I did not put breath in your lungs just so you could survive in spiritual half-light. You were born to blaze, born to walk in authority without apology. That can only happen when you stop dancing on both sides of the line and recognize that I am not giving you time to decide. I am giving you power to obey. My line is not meant to limit, it is meant to liberate. Everything beyond this line has been waiting for your yes, the kind of yes that breaks agreements with every alternate voice. I am moving with force now, and you must move with me. Do not hesitate. Do not overthink it. Do not water this down. I am not a passive savior. I am a consuming king, and I have drawn the line to reclaim you entirely. If you try to stay in the middle after this word, the weight will increase until it presses you into a decision. But I would rather you move now, boldly, fully, permanently. Because once this line is drawn, nothing that held you before will be allowed to follow you through it. Right now, a war is taking place in silence. It is not one the world can see, but one that heaven has been watching intently, where your next move carries the weight of more than just personal breakthrough. The adversary has invested so much in keeping you distracted, pushing just enough noise into your life to numb the urgency, flooding your mind with excuses that sound logical but are spiritually lethal, and whispering lies disguised as comfort, so you will treat this divine interruption like another casual word. But this is not casual. This is not optional. This is not one of many. This is the one, the precise moment the enemy hoped you would rush past, skim through, or scroll away from, because he knows what I have hidden inside of it. He knows that if you stop long enough to hear me fully, everything he has been building around you collapses. That is why the pressure in your mind intensified just before this message reached your eyes. That is why you felt that strange resistance in your body, that restlessness in your spirit, the chaos in your thoughts. Because this is the sentence that interrupts everything the enemy has carefully crafted around your delay. But I am stepping into this moment with a power that overrides every distraction, commanding your inner being to cease movement, to pause in reverence, to lock eyes with me in this sacred second and not flinch. Because if you move too quickly, you will miss the impartation that is descending right now. I am not speaking to your schedule. I am speaking to your spirit, and your spirit knows me. It recognizes that this tone is not one of suggestion, but of sovereign urgency. I am not asking you to listen with your ears. I am demanding that your spirit rise into attention and receive what I have embedded into this message, like a sword dipped in oil. There are battles you have been fighting that would end if you just stood still long enough to hear what I am saying without interruption. Stillness is not weakness, it is warfare. And in this stillness, I am silencing voices you did not even know had been influencing your decisions. I am shutting the gates you left cracked open through casual thinking and emotional compromise. I am not asking you to perform. I am asking you to pause. Because in the pause, I pour. What I am releasing now is not light, it is heavy with transformation. If you keep moving like nothing divine is happening, you will treat a sacred download like an ordinary moment. That is what the enemy wants. For you to treat the supernatural like background noise. For you to scroll past your own deliverance and not even notice what you lost in your rush. But I am anchoring you now, rooting you in the soil of surrender so I can water what has been dormant. There is a depth I am taking you to that cannot be accessed in busyness. I am stripping away every movement that masks avoidance. This is where the shift takes place. I am recalibrating your posture from scattered to focused, from restless to responsive, from distracted to fully available. I am not requesting your attention, I am reclaiming it. As I command your stillness, I am healing areas that you could not fix through striving. I am binding wounds you tried to ignore. I am closing the gaps that opened when you let spiritual noise drown out my direction. The enemy wanted you to scroll past this moment because he knows this sentence carries your release. He knows that one word from me, fully received, is more dangerous to him than a lifetime of sermons half listened to. That is why he pushes thoughts of time, of tasks, of an urgency that has nothing to do with me. But I speak above all of that now, and I say, stop. Be still. Do not move until you feel me reset your atmosphere. This is not a message, it is a turning point. I am commanding your soul to stay in place until every part of you has absorbed the weight of what I have released. Because the stillness I have called you into is not silence, it is strategy. I am preparing you for a pace you have never walked in, and you cannot run into it while your spirit is scattered. So stop, let me fill you, let me finish what I started, let me be louder than the chaos. This is not just a command, it is a rescue that looks like a pause, but is actually the start of the greatest movement your life has ever known. Before you had the language to pray, before your heart ever cried out for purpose, before you knew how deeply you would need me, I had already written this moment into your existence. This is not new to heaven. This is not a sudden detour. This is not an unplanned encounter that just fell into your hands. This was divinely appointed. Carved into your timeline before the foundations of the earth were laid. While you were still unknown to the world, you were fully known to me. In that knowing, I assigned this exact moment, not as an afterthought, but as a release point for something I have guarded until now. This second carries weight because it is not the result of your effort, it is the unfolding of a supernatural appointment. What is stirring in your spirit right now is the echo of an ancient yes you whispered before time began. Your soul recognizes what your mind cannot comprehend, that this moment has always been waiting for your agreement. The delay you thought disqualified you was already factored into the plan. The pain that nearly silenced you was seen, and even that was woven into the divine preparation. You were not late. You were not forgotten. You were not overlooked. You were being positioned for what only obedience could trigger. Now, the atmosphere around you is shifting, not randomly, but in obedience to the sound of heaven's signal that says, now, not next season, not later this year, not when you feel stronger or wiser or more qualified. Now, I do not wait for your perfection to begin my plans. I move when your spirit surrenders. You are here now, reading what was written for you before time had numbers, because something eternal is about to be released through your yes. You do not have to understand all of it. You just need to know that the fire you feel right now is not emotional. It is divine activation. You are standing on the edge of a fulfillment that has been preserved through battles you did not even know you won. Do you really think you made it here by chance? No, you were carried through storms that should have ended you, through nights so dark that only my hand kept your mind from collapsing. All of that was part of the schedule. I knew when to let things close so you would not settle. I knew when to let hearts walk away so I could protect your calling. I knew when to let doors stay locked until the key inside you was fully shaped. Now, as you inhale this word, heaven exhales movement. This is not symbolic, it is a spiritual transaction. The earth may not see it yet, but realms are shifting, angels are moving, and blueprints are unfolding. What is about to happen does not wait for applause. It does not need validation. It only needs your full response. I am lifting the veil from what I have been preparing in silence, and I am doing it suddenly. Not because I am rushed, but because I am precise. The appointed time has arrived. You do not need more confirmation. This message is the stamp. You do not need to feel ready. Your surrender is your readiness. I am awakening what has been dormant, not because you are worthy, but because I am faithful. I will fulfill what I started. I will complete what I authored. I will bring to life what you buried under fear and called forgotten. What is about to begin is not a preview. It is the manifestation. The reason it feels like everything inside you is vibrating is because your spirit just stepped into alignment with something heaven has been holding in suspension until now. Do not second guess this. Do not talk yourself out of it. Do not explain it away to others who were not assigned to see it. This is between you and the God who made you with this moment in mind. I will not let anything or anyone interrupt what I have already released. The timing is perfect. The atmosphere is ripe. The angels are positioned. All of heaven is watching, not wondering if you will respond, but waiting for your surrender to become the spark that ignites everything. What is about to happen is not distant anymore. It begins now, and it will not stop until every promise breathes, every chain falls, and every buried assignment lives again in the light of my voice, which cannot be revoked. This is not the season where your justifications will protect you. This is the moment where your reasons dissolve in the fire of my truth. For too long, you have built coverings out of your disappointments, clothed yourself in explanations that made your delay feel acceptable, and masked your reluctance with logic that sounded spiritual but was rooted in fear. But I see beneath the coverings. I see the truth you were too afraid to admit. I am not condemning you for it. I am confronting it with a love too holy to leave it untouched. I am removing the veil you have wrapped around your delay, the one that made you feel like hesitation was wise and self-protection was discernment. I never called you to shrink in safety. I called you to walk in surrendered fire. The veil you put between my voice and your obedience was not placed by me. It was woven from moments where you let disappointment speak louder than destiny. I honored your pain, but now I must destroy the illusion it built. No more hiding behind prayers that only serve to buy you more time. No more hiding behind questions when I have already made the answer clear. You have disguised inaction as caution. You have presented resistance as reflection. But I am the God who sees what you do not say, and I am not waiting for your comfort to catch up. I am commanding clarity to crash in. The veil that helped you cope is now in my way. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you're about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. It covered your ears just enough to muffle conviction. It shaded your sight just enough to distort direction. I love you too deeply to let it stay another second. This is why the pressure increased. This is why your spirit has felt stretched. You thought you were being attacked, but you were being exposed, and exposure is mercy in disguise. I am not trying to shame you. I am trying to free you from the weight of pretending. You have performed long enough. You have rehearsed the lines of not yet, maybe later, and when I'm stronger for too many seasons. But now my spirit is stepping into the backstage of your excuses and shutting the production down. The role you have been playing to appease others, to keep yourself safe from pain, to maintain an image of control, I am removing it piece by piece because your identity was never meant to be shaped by survival. I made you to live in the full light of my authority, not behind walls of fear wearing garments of delay. This unveiling is not about punishment, it is about possession. I am reclaiming the parts of you that excuses stole. I am recovering the assignments you avoided. I am reigniting the flame that hesitation tried to snuff out. I am calling you to walk out of the shadows fully, unapologetically, dangerously free, because the version of you I created has nothing to hide. The one I formed in secret does not flinch in confrontation. The one I anointed does not cower behind almost. Today I am awakening that version. That is why you feel the confrontation so deeply, because I am speaking to the real you, the one underneath the performance, the one underneath the delay, the one underneath the spiritual sounding walls you built to keep me at arm's length. But I am not standing on the outside anymore. I am inside, turning over tables. I am inside, tearing down what you built in panic. I am inside, lighting torches in every corner you kept dark. When the veil falls, you will see not only me, you will see yourself as I always have. Chosen, called, holy, ready. No more pretending. No more explaining away what I have demanded. No more spiritual camouflage. I am stripping it all until nothing remains but obedience. Raw, unfiltered, and real. This is not rejection. This is rescue. It begins by letting go of everything you said to avoid my instruction. I do not need your performance. I do not need your perfect answers. I need your yes. I need your full surrender. I need your willingness to move without layers. I promise you, once the veil is gone, you will realize it was never protecting you. It was only blocking what I have been trying to release all along. This is not a quiet knock waiting for permission to enter. This is the voice that split the skies and commands galaxies, now aimed directly at your spirit, breaking through every layer of noise you have surrounded yourself with. not to request your focus, but to seize it. I have waited patiently while you gave your energy to empty pursuits, while you scattered your attention between distractions that drained you and obligations I never assigned. But time is not your possession to manage at your leisure. It is a gift I gave, and I am reclaiming it now to redirect you. I am not here to fit into your schedule or compete with your to-do list. I am not adjusting myself to blend into the background of your divided mind. I am taking hold of the deepest part of your being, not to decorate your day, but to shift your existence. You have been drifting, even while doing good things. In that drifting, your sensitivity to me has dulled. You have been consuming content, but neglecting consecration. You have been active, but not anchored. So I have come, not gently, but forcefully, because what is ahead requires your full gaze, your undivided allegiance, your immediate obedience. I am not whispering over the clutter, I am clearing it with power. The shaking you feel in your inner life is not confusion, it is my intervention. I am commanding the chaos in your thoughts to be silenced. I am pressing pause on everything you thought could not wait, because what I am doing in you cannot be background noise. I am not a side task. I am not a line item on your spiritual checklist. I am the source of every breath you take, and I am flooding your soul with a focused fire that will consume every lesser priority if you allow it. I am silencing interruptions before they form. I am canceling distractions before they speak. I am pressing my hand upon your life until you finally stop trying to juggle my voice with 1,000 other opinions. This is not the time to multitask. This is not the hour to skim through sacred things. I am demanding full presence. I am issuing a holy command that will not be silenced by casualness. There is no halfway in this. The days of almost are over. The season of maybe later is gone. I am reclaiming your gaze, fully, finally, forever. I am doing it by pulling everything else into stillness. You will notice conversations do not hit the same anymore. You will see how shallow the noise has become. That is not boredom. That is me shifting your appetite. That is my glory making everything else feel insufficient. You were never meant to live on spiritual crumbs. You were born for communion, for the weight of my presence so thick that time loses its grip on you. I am arresting your attention, not just to bless you, but to prepare you. What is ahead requires a laser focus, a surrendered mind, a spirit that listens without delay. So I will strip whatever competes. I will remove whatever diverts. I will challenge whatever you placed above me, not to punish you, but to pull you into the clarity you have begged for. You said you could not hear me, but it is because your ears were trained to listen through filters I never gave you. Now I am recalibrating your senses, not gently, but urgently. I am cutting through a fog that you thought was normal. I am correcting your alignment, not with suggestions, but with fire. My authority is not negotiable. When I speak, all of heaven responds. Now I demand that same response from you. Drop the phone, close the other tabs, quiet the noise. Let this word grip your spirit until it becomes the only voice you recognize. I am not here for your temporary attention. I am here to become your obsession. I am here to awaken a hunger that will never settle for shallow again. I will keep speaking until your spirit stands still, until your inner world bows, until your ears are tuned only to me. This is not discipline, it is deliverance. I am rescuing you from fragmentation, liberating you from mental exhaustion, and freeing you from noise fatigue. I am commanding your full yes, not because I am needy, but because I know what I am about to release in your life will demand more focus than you have ever known. So I am not asking anymore. I am arresting, and heaven is backing that command with force. The turning has already started. Not in a future you are trying to figure out, but right here, right now, in this holy interruption where my voice is moving faster than your understanding. This is not dependent on your agreement, hinged upon your pace, or waiting for your analysis. It is unfolding because I declared it. The atmosphere around you is not the same as it was moments ago. Something invisible has shifted, a spiritual pivot, an unseen rerouting, a divine collision between what was and what must now emerge. I am not waiting for your permission to begin what I have already spoken into motion. Even your stillness now exists within a movement that is no longer waiting for you to catch up. It is calling you to align. I have triggered a supernatural momentum that will not pause again. Whether you act or stall, the wheels of heaven are turning. The current is active, and everything stagnant around you is being confronted. I have placed weight on this moment, not because of its emotional intensity, but because of its irreversible effect. This is where your timeline breaks into before and after. This is where patterns collapse under the pressure of purpose. This is where what was acceptable yesterday becomes intolerable today, because I am raising the standard in your spirit, not for applause, but for awakening. I am not adjusting the pace to your comfort. I am commanding the pace that matches your destiny. Everything from this point forward bends toward what I have decreed, and nothing will return to what you once called normal. The doors I am closing cannot be reopened by your nostalgia. The voices I am silencing cannot be reinvited through sentiment. The cycles I am breaking will not be reformed unless you willfully disobey. But even in disobedience, the momentum will still carry forward, because I am not asking creation to pause for your convenience. What I spoke over your life before you were even aware of me has reached its appointed time, and the atmosphere is pregnant with manifestation. This is not a preparation phase anymore. This is execution. You can feel it in the disruption of your thoughts, in the unease that has been growing in your heart, in the restlessness that no entertainment or distraction can calm. That is not chaos. That is the sound of systems falling that were never built to carry you. You stepped into a divine invasion that overturns tables, reorders priorities, and establishes truth as the only foundation worth standing on. Even if you do not move, things are moving around you. That is why relationships are shifting, why doors are slamming without your effort, why favor is showing up in places you did not knock. Heaven has taken over the orchestration of your path. This moment is not small. It is massive. It is seismic. It is spiritual architecture being rearranged in real time while you are standing in it. What you choose now does not determine whether things are changing. It determines whether you flow with it or resist what is already moving. I am not giving you the option to stay the same without consequence. That version of you, the one that was okay with delay, that tolerated confusion, that made excuses for comfort, is being dismantled, even if you try to cling to it. I am calling your name in the earthquake. I am pulling you into the now of my voice. My voice does not echo in circles. It moves in lines, forward, onward, deeper. I have declared this shift to be irreversible. The ones who ignore it will feel the discomfort of misalignment, not as punishment, but as mercy. I am not asking you to build this shift. I have already built it. I am asking you to walk in what has already been set in motion. The wind is behind you. The fire is in front of you. The cloud is moving again. Your next move is not about figuring out every step. It is about finally saying, "Yes, Lord, I will not fight what you have already started." You cannot undo what I have released, but you can miss the fullness of what is waiting if you keep holding on to a version of life I have already canceled. Step in, step up, step out. Because whether you rise with it or watch from a distance, this shift has already begun, and the sound of heaven marching forward will not stop to wait again. This unveiling is not sourced from books or borrowed from voices. It is coming straight from my throne room, undiluted, uncontaminated, and unfiltered by earthly limitations. What I am releasing to you in this exact moment is not knowledge that can be taught. It is revelation that must be imparted. I am peeling back dimensions that human minds cannot fabricate and spiritual enemies cannot intercept. This is sacred intelligence, divine intel that has been hidden until the time was right, and the time is now. I am opening your eyes to realities that flesh cannot comprehend and religion cannot replicate. This is not about information. This is about transformation that flows from divine sight. I am entrusting you with keys that unlock not only direction but destiny. What I whisper now cannot be stolen, only ignored, and I will not repeat it casually. This is not a broadcast. This is a download. Heaven is leaning in, and I am releasing mysteries that have waited for your obedience to reach this elevation. There are layers of me you have not yet encountered, depths of my spirit you have not yet tasted. I am not withholding them from you. I am presenting them to you now because you finally stood still long enough for me to trust you with them. The veils are being lifted. The noise is being silenced. The fog is being removed. In its place, I am delivering visions that pierce the timelines ahead of you. This is more than clarity. It is prophetic navigation tailor-made for your assignment. No algorithm could deliver this. No voice of man could manufacture this. What I am showing you now will dismantle every lie that pretended to guide you. Every counterfeit door that once looked appealing will lose its shine under the light of what I am about to expose. While others continue recycling the same ideas in new packaging, I am raising you to carry revelation that disarms darkness without announcement. The enemy hoped you would stay too distracted to receive this, but distraction no longer has access to this space. What I release here is not visible to eyes clouded by compromise, which is why I had to separate you before I could show you. You have been feeling isolated, not because I abandoned you, but because I needed to clear the room before I opened the scroll. I needed you alone with me so I could whisper what is too weighty for crowds to carry. Now that I have your full attention, I will pour until you overflow. This is not momentary inspiration. It is a permanent activation. The revelation I am giving you will outlive seasons, carry through storms, stand when emotions fail, and anchor you when everything around you shifts. I am not just giving you insight. I am embedding instructions into your spirit that will unlock strategies you did not even know you needed. No demon in hell has clearance to intercept it. What I have sealed in you now is off limits to the enemy. He cannot interpret it, translate it, or manipulate it. This is a sealed word, coded in heaven's language and designed only for your spirit to comprehend. It will not make sense to those who were not assigned to hear it. Do not try to explain what I have shown you, just walk in it. I will confirm it with favor, establish it through alignment, and protect it with fire. There is nothing the adversary can do to access what I have now placed inside of you. The days of spiritual theft are over. I am locking this within you with divine encryption. As you carry it, I will guide you step by step. You do not need to rush the reveal, just steward the weight. I will open the right ears, create the divine intersections, and lead the revelation to the ones it is meant to awaken. But for now, absorb it, guard it, treasure it. Because what you have just received is not common. It is consecrated. It marks you now in a way that no title, platform, or recognition ever could. You are carrying what cannot be taught, only trusted. You are stewarding what cannot be earned, only received. and nothing, no force, no voice, no scheme can undo what I just placed in you. I did not hide my instructions in riddles or bury my direction beneath impossible layers of mystery. I placed them in plain view, carved into your daily life, not as poetic coincidences, but as intentional timestamps, heaven's language written in the middle of your routine. I sent the signs through conversations that stirred something in you and left you restless. I placed them inside moments that felt too sharp to ignore, but you called them emotional shifts. I let certain things fall apart, not because I failed to protect you, but because I was speaking through the collapse. My signs were not vague, they were unmistakable, but your eyes were trained to seek comfort instead of clarity. That is why you missed them. You did not overlook them because you were spiritually weak. You missed them because your discernment was drowned in distraction. You've been asking me to speak louder while I have been sending confirmations in every direction, waiting for you to slow down enough to notice. I sent disruptions, and you prayed for peace. I sent delays, and you begged for acceleration. I rerouted you with roadblocks, and you rebuked what was actually my protection. I never stopped signaling. The problem was not the absence of my voice. It was the saturation of your focus. Your vision has been blurred by busyness. Your hearing has been dulled by noise pretending to be responsibility. Now I'm exposing just how many instructions you passed by because they did not arrive in the package you expected. I know that stings, but conviction is my mercy in disguise. I am not here to shame you. I am here to awaken you. The signs were never meant to confuse you. They were meant to provoke a response. But instead of moving, you paused. Instead of surrendering, you reasoned. In those moments, the schedule I wrote for your acceleration was paused, not by me, but by your insistence on understanding every detail before taking one step. That is not obedience. That is control masquerading as caution. I have sent symbols through seasons, dreams, interruptions, and even disappointments. Not random, not reactive, but prearranged moments placed on your path to redirect your soul. Because you expected them to look like fireworks, you ignored them when they came as whispers. You wanted booming signs from the sky, but I whispered through uneasiness, stirred through loss, and interrupted through delay. Now I am telling you outright, you cannot afford to miss what comes next. I will still send signals, but this time I am retraining your awareness. You will start to feel what you used to overlook. You will start to pause where you once hurried. You will begin to hear me in the moments that once felt mundane. I am heightening your spiritual sensitivity, so you no longer require shaking just to respond. But I need you to repent for the signs you buried. I need you to recognize that I was not silent. You were just too focused on noise I never sent. That confession will break the cycle. That acknowledgement will unlock the next layer of clarity. Because I am still speaking, still pointing, still aligning. I refuse to let you live beneath what I scheduled for you. I am resynchronizing you with the rhythm of revelation. I am retuning your senses to pick up what is being released from heaven's throne. You will not need 10 confirmations. You will not require delays to wake up. You will know. You will feel it in your spirit like a bell being struck. When I signal this time, your response will not be delayed by analysis. It will be immediate. Because now you understand, my signs were never optional. They were invitations. This moment is another one. Do not dismiss it. Do not scroll past it. Do not rationalize it. Just respond. I have placed this word in your path as another divine marker. I am telling you the truth. You are back on schedule. What you missed before is being reoffered by grace. But this time, act like it is the last time you will see it, because that is how urgent it truly is. This is not a rerun of what you have ignored before, not a recycled invitation from yesterday. This is a divine intrusion meant to fracture the spinning cycle that has kept your spirit orbiting confusion without resolution. You have been living on a loop, going around the same inner dilemmas, rehearsing the same reasons, and battling the same undercurrents of fear, thinking you were progressing simply because time was moving. But movement in time without a change in alignment is not forward motion. It is delay in disguise. I refuse to let you walk another hour inside a circle I never designed. I have come to disrupt it, not gently, but with finality, because that loop has become too familiar. It has masked itself as processing, but it is really paralysis dressed up as thoughtfulness. You have called it reflection, but I have watched as it has quietly suffocated your obedience, draining your momentum with every step that just leads back to where you started. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. This is not about punishing you. This is about rescuing you from the gravitational pull of your own hesitation. I am stepping in now, not repeating what I said before, but delivering something sharp enough to slice through the pattern. You do not need another explanation. You need an interruption. That is exactly what this is. I am confronting the voices that have taken up permanent space in your mind. Voices that sound like yours but carry a weight I never gave them. The doubts that circle every time you get close to acting. The guilt that loops when you consider moving forward. The fear that tightens its grip the moment you consider stepping outside the known. Those are not thoughts. They are assignments sent to keep you dizzy in your destiny. Just enough to confuse you, but not enough to scare you. I am ending their cycle today. I have come with the authority to stop the spinning and to anchor you again in truth. This word is the sword I am using to sever your ties to every loop that pretends to be processing but only prolongs disobedience. I am not whispering this time, I am roaring. I am speaking straight through the fog, cutting through the overthinking, bypassing the mental gymnastics, and reaching for the core of your spirit, where your first yes still lives, buried under layers of delay and inner conflict. You asked me to make it clear. This is clarity. You asked me to lead you. This is direction. But I will not keep circling this mountain with you while you pretend it is exploration. You have already seen enough. You have already heard enough. You know more than enough. Now it is time to move. The interruption is the sign. The discomfort is the signal. The sharpness of this moment is not me being harsh. It is me being merciful. Sometimes it takes a jolt to stop a cycle. Sometimes it takes divine fire to burn through the ropes of routine. I am not interested in you surviving another season trapped inside your own patterns. I am calling you out of the swirl, out of the confusion, out of the excuses that disguise themselves as needing more time. You do not need more time, you need traction. I am giving it to you now. This word is the foot I have placed on the spinning floor. Everything stops here. From this point forward, you will not walk in circles. You will walk in direction. You will not second guess what I have confirmed. You will not revisit what I have already closed. The cycle ends and clarity begins, not because you figured it out, but because I have stepped in. I am not here to repeat myself. I am here to redirect. You are not in trouble, you are in transition. That is why this moment feels tight, sharp, and sudden. When I interrupt, I do not ask for permission. I seize the moment, and I have seized this one to anchor you again in forward motion. I am removing the dizziness from your discernment and breaking the grip of delay that pretended to be preparation. I am unlocking what has been held up, not because it wasn't ready, but because you were caught in a loop that blocked the release. But no more. It ends here. The circle breaks now, and everything that moves from this moment will not rotate. It will advance. A confrontation with time. You have measured your life by clocks and calendars, assuming you had years left to delay. You convinced yourself that divine things could wait until your comfort aligned with them. But I tell you now, what you call time, I call mercy on pause. And that mercy is no longer extending in the way it once did. Time, which once served as your excuse, is now frozen as your confrontation. You can feel it, not in the ticking of minutes, but in the weight of this exact second, where everything in your soul tightens with a holy pressure, not to harm you, but to hold you still long enough for truth to penetrate. You thought you had space, but that space was grace, and grace has now shifted into urgency. You have planned around obedience as if it were a task that could be scheduled between your ambitions. But I do not operate on borrowed moments. I operate in appointed ones, and this right here is one of them. You assumed I would wait until your circumstances calmed, your fear subsided, or your confidence increased. But none of those were requirements for obedience. I never needed your readiness. I needed your yes. Yet your yes was constantly delayed by distractions dressed as responsibility, by fear disguised as wisdom, and by spiritual busyness that kept you doing everything but surrendering. Now I have stopped time, not in the natural, but in the eternal, to bring you face to face with what you can no longer postpone. Every breath you take from here forward exists inside a moment that demands a response. This is not an open-ended offer. This is a now decision. I am calling your spirit out of the haze of tomorrow thinking, out of the fog of maybe when I'm stronger, and out of the cloud of not yet that you have used to excuse every delay. You have let minutes slip into months and months into years, calling it patience when it has been passivity. You stood still while destiny moved around you, and now I am calling you into an alignment that refuses to wait any longer. The mercy of interruption. I am not angry. I am asserting a divine timing that cannot be bargained with. I am freezing everything that was moving too fast so you can no longer use motion as a distraction. The noise has been silenced. The clock in your soul has stopped ticking, not because I want to punish you, but because I want to protect you. If I had let you continue at your own pace, you would have outrun the very thing I ordained for you. So, I have halted everything you tried to keep spinning. I have blocked plans that would have taken you away from this encounter. I have closed doors that were not delays, but protection. You saw a slowdown, but I saw your spirit suffocating under the weight of your own pace. And so, I brought you here. This moment is not small. It is seismic. It is the mercy of a God who refuses to let you wander one more day pretending you are fine. You are not fine. You are chosen. You are not drifting. You are being drawn. And I am drawing you into a stillness designed not to paralyze you, but to provoke your surrender. I do not need your performance or your perfection. I need your yes. The kind of yes that does not wait for another season, another sign, or another sign-off from the people around you. This is the now that eternity has been waiting for. I have paused time in the spirit because what you decide in this breath will determine what can be released in the next. This is not pressure. It is placement. I have positioned you for this moment so specifically that no amount of delay can unwrite what I am calling you into. But you must respond. You must act as if this is the only moment you have left, because spiritually it is. Do not misinterpret this. I am not threatening your life. I am realigning your purpose. The delay you have allowed has choked the movement I wanted to birth through you. Now I am removing the cushion of false security. You thought you had more time, but time is not your possession. It belongs to me, and I have called it to a standstill until your spirit says, "Yes, Lord, right now." That is what I'm listening for. That is what will break the silence and restart heaven's clock over your calling. Time is not waiting for your confidence. It is waiting for your surrender. And surrender must happen now. The command to release. You held back so much, convinced that silence was strength, and that holding it together would somehow earn you favor. But I was never asking you to be unbreakable. I was asking you to be available. In your effort to appear strong, you buried pain that should have been surrendered, not suppressed. You wiped your face before anyone saw you break, but I saw the first crack form. You did not cry in front of them, but you shattered in my presence. Even when you did not let the tears fall, your spirit wept, and I counted every one, not as a weakness, but as an offering. You thought I missed the moments when you were too exhausted to speak, too numb to pray, too guarded to feel. But I was right there, kneeling beside the version of you that no one ever met. The silent you, the quiet sufferer, the hidden storm behind the smile. And now I speak to that version directly, not with sympathy, but with fire. This command is not just a call forward, it is a response to what you never dared to release. This word carries the weight of what you have been too afraid to grieve, too distracted to process, too rushed to feel. You have cried in secret, hoping not to inconvenience others with your struggle. Now I bring that hidden flood into the center of this divine moment. I am not brushing past your unspoken sorrow, I am building this command with it. Every instruction I give you now is soaked in the ink of tears you didn't even know how to cry. I saw them form and then retreat. I felt them press against your chest, stuck behind your will to survive. But survival was never the goal. Surrender was. So I am gathering every drop you refuse to let fall and forming a river through which my voice now travels. You did not lose those tears. You just delayed them. I never mocked your restraint, but I did mourn what it cost you. Peace, rest, clarity, ease. You have carried the weight of pretending for so long that now my truth feels unfamiliar, even when it is tender. I will not let you mistake numbness for maturity. That is why I am speaking now, not softly, but steadily, with the power of someone who knows what you truly endured behind the scenes. You did not just endure heartbreak, you endured invisibility. Now I am shining a light, not just on your future, but on the wounded places you have left unattended. This word is not to shame you for holding back. It is to free you from the thought that you still have to. You do not need to be composed in this moment. You need to be open. Let the tears fall now. Let them baptize your soul and wash off the residue of years when you forced composure to replace confession. I am not afraid of your honesty or intimidated by your emotion. I am the one who formed your sensitivity as a gift, not a weakness. You learned to silence it because others did not know how to handle your depth, but I made you deep on purpose. I am calling you now to release what you thought you had to bury. This is not a suggestion. This is a command to unclench, to breathe, to let go of the tears that turned into tension. I am breaking that internal drought, not by making you cry, but by giving you permission to stop apologizing for needing to. Your tears were not wasted, they have been stored, and now they water the soil of this command. Everything I say from here forward carries the echo of your pain and the response of my healing. You do not have to be strong here. You just have to be real. This is not an emotional breakdown. It is a spiritual release. I will use what broke you, to build you. I will use what you held back to carry you forward. I will use what you never cried to soften what has been hardening inside you. You have obeyed me through silence. Now obey me through release. The next move is not power, it is permission. Let the hidden tears fall and let me flood your soul with what you tried to live without. I am not just commanding you to move forward, I am commanding you to do it healed. The sound of captivity, breaking. You have mistaken the pressure for punishment, but it is actually the sound of captivity losing its grip. The sharpness in your spirit, the weight against your chest, the sudden awareness of what no longer fits, that is not confusion. That is me. I am pulling you out of places you adjusted to, but were never designed to remain in. Pulling you out is not a gentle lift. It is a tearing away of every bond, mindset, memory, and spiritual contract you unknowingly agreed to while surviving. You normalized limitation for so long that freedom feels foreign. You learned to walk with chains by pretending they were accessories, calling them seasons or lessons. But I never named you by your wounds or called you by your fears. I refuse to let you live one more moment under a definition I did not author. That pain you feel in deep places, the kind that has no words and leaves you restless in the silence, is not random pressure. It is me breaking what you got used to carrying. I know you thought that emotional weight, that lingering insecurity, that generational fear would always be there. I know you designed routines and built relationships to accommodate your chains. But I am not interested in fixing the cage. I came to destroy it. I am not here to decorate your dysfunction with blessings. I am here to drag you out of bondage, even if you scream. I did not create you to manage chains. I created you to crush them. The reason it hurts now is because I am not pulling at the surface. I am breaking you at the root. What you thought was just a season became a structure. What you thought was emotional became spiritual. What you thought was a struggle became a stronghold. Now I am going after it, not with sympathy, but with authority. I am not negotiating with what has been tormenting you. I am tearing it out. This is not a minor adjustment. This is deliverance, the kind that comes with holy fire and undeniable disruption. Yes, it feels like things are unraveling, but what is unraveling is not you. It is the web of lies that wrapped around your identity. The shell is cracking, the mask is falling, and the agreement with fear is being shredded in my presence. You did not realize how deep the prison went until I started knocking at its foundation. Now that I am shaking the floor beneath you, I will not stop until everything that does not belong is removed. I am not just breaking chains off your hands, I am breaking them off your vision, your future, and your name. You thought you had to live with them, but I am telling you, you were never meant to carry them past this point. The tension you feel is divine disruption. The ache is proof of transformation in process. What has been invisible to others has been inescapable to you. But today I draw the line. That silent torment, that unspoken heaviness, that memory that loops when the world quiets down, I am severing it now. Do not mistake this force for fury. I am not angry. I am invested. I love you enough to break what you've gotten comfortable with. I am interrupting cycles you called your personality, challenging trauma you settled under, and confronting conclusions you made in dark places. You called it permanent. I call it expired. And what I say ends today cannot remain 1 second longer. I know it hurts, but this is holy pain. This is what it feels like when spiritual roots are ripped out and destiny gets room to breathe. You will thank me later, but for now, just do not fight me. Let the chains break. Let the lie fall apart. Let the scream in your soul rise up and be met with my roar. I am not whispering deliverance. I am declaring it with finality. You will never go back to who you were before this moment, because the pain that shocked you was the sound of bondage being broken by the hand of a God who refuses to leave you chained ever again. The final invitation. You assumed my silence meant rejection, but I was not withholding out of punishment. I was pausing for your full surrender, not partial agreement, not whispered consent beneath layers of fear. I was waiting for the version of you who would stop negotiating with obedience, the you who would not edit my instructions to fit your timeline, the you who would trust me even when clarity had not yet arrived. And now, that version of you is standing right here, facing the voice you can no longer ignore. I have watched you grieve opportunities you believed were lost forever, not knowing I had preserved them until you were fully prepared to carry their weight. You called it too late. I called it just in time. What I have for you was never tied to the moments you think you missed. It is tied to your response right now. You delayed because you doubted. You paused because you did not feel worthy. You held back because what I showed you felt too big to belong to someone like you. But I never asked you to qualify yourself. I asked for a yes, not one built on understanding, but one rooted in faith. Now I have circled back, not because I am starting over, but because I am giving you one final moment to step into what has been waiting for your surrender. I will not force you. I will not beg, but I will speak plainly. I am not pausing again. The window you assumed would stay open is now narrowing into a final invitation. I am not angry, but I am serious. I am not harsh, but I am done repeating what I have already made clear. I sent the prompting and the dreams. I placed the weight in your chest every time you looked away. But you kept postponing, under the illusion that there would always be another chance, a better moment, a more peaceful season. I am telling you, the season is now. The shift is now. The yes I have waited for must come without your conditions attached. I need your full heart, not the version that waits for confirmation or moves only when everything feels safe. I need the version that says, even if I don't know where this leads, I trust who is leading. Delay served a purpose. It revealed your dependencies, showed you who you ran to first, and exposed how easily your faith was shaken. But that lesson is over. The next delay will not be instructional. It will be disobedience. And I love you too much to let you walk into that unaware. That is why I am speaking with this level of urgency. You need to know that I have waited long enough. Not because I am impatient, but because the moment I designed for your release is here. The longer you linger in hesitation, the more you jeopardize what was perfectly positioned for your obedience. You are not being denied. You are being invited. But this is the final call for what I have held back until your soul could carry it without cracking. What I am about to release cannot land on fractured submission. It needs ground that will not shake when the enemy tries to whisper doubt. I believe you are finally ready, but readiness must become a response. You do not need to feel it. You need to act. Your breakthrough is not waiting for more strength. It is waiting for more surrender. And that surrender begins when you no longer ask for delay to feel like preparation. The time for preparation is over. You have been equipped, even if you do not realize it. What lies ahead will stretch you, but it will not destroy you. What once intimidated you will now bow to your yes, because this time, when you move in finality. No turning back, no halfway measures, no watching the clock hoping for a safer time. There is no safer time. This is the moment. Heaven has already aligned it. The ground is ready, the oil is waiting, and the instruction is clear. The only missing ingredient is your complete, unedited, unconditional yes. I have waited. Now I command. Say yes and watch me collapse the delay and release what has been waiting on the other side of your surrender. She's a voice for the hidden places. You have let the world hear your words, see your actions, and applaud your strength. But there is a hidden place, a silent chamber deep inside that no applause has ever reached, no voice has ever touched, no human has ever fully understood. That is the part I am after. That is where I am speaking now. I am not addressing the surface version of you or the rehearsed responses with practiced prayers. I am not waiting for polished worship or memorized scriptures. I am reaching into the room you locked from the inside, the place that holds your real fears, your untouched grief, your buried disappointments, and the questions you never dared to ask out loud. That hidden room, that sealed-off space where even your own thoughts tiptoe, is where my voice is landing right now. And I am not knocking. I am stepping in. I know how long you have kept that part of you silent and what you have protected it from. Betrayal, misunderstanding, and spiritual cliches that made you feel like you had to keep performing. I know the version of you that smiles on the outside while trembling inside. I know the weight that presses against your ribs when no one is around, and how you have prayed out loud while questioning in secret. But I do not need permission to reach the place I created. I do not need access granted when I already own the blueprint. I formed that hidden room when I formed you, and I have always intended to fill it. Not with noise, but with a truth so intimate it shatters every wall you built to survive. This is not a surface-level message. This is a soul-level extraction. I am not here to motivate the outer layers. I am here to unlock the core. The part that screams in silence, smiles in public but collapses in private, hopes without knowing how, and still believes in me even after everything broke. That is where I am speaking. That is why you feel this so deeply. I have bypassed your logic and gone straight to your essence. You cannot explain it, but you can feel it. You cannot put it into words, but you know I am right there in the place that has never been fully opened before. I am filling the cracks that therapy could not touch, that encouragement could not reach, that even your best efforts could not repair. I am speaking to the broken architecture inside you, and I am not here to patch it. I am here to rebuild it completely. Not one corner of you will remain untouched. I am not afraid of the mess, overwhelmed by the clutter, or surprised by the damage. I knew it was there before you could even articulate it. And I have waited, not because I was distant, but because I needed this moment. This deep stillness, this raw awareness, this holy invasion. I needed you vulnerable enough to let me enter without pretense. I am not coming to lecture. I am coming to heal, not what has been seen, but what has been hidden. I am pulling up the roots of things you did not even know were affecting you. The trauma that masked itself as strength, the disappointments that built quiet walls, the survival tactics you called maturity. I am speaking to all of it. And as I speak, I am reintroducing you to yourself, the self that existed before the pain, before the masks, before the exhaustion of pretending. The self I breathed life into before anyone had the power to shape your identity still exists, and I am resurrecting it, not with hype or performance, but with holy precision. My voice is digging into you like rain into dry soil, softening, breaking, restoring. You are not crazy for feeling this weight or overreacting to this moment. You are finally hearing me at the frequency I always intended. I will not stop. I will not retreat. I will not settle for surface change. I am speaking straight to the room you tried to seal shut, and as I speak, I am restoring everything that silence stole. You will never be the same because I am not just visiting your pain, I am rewriting it with my voice, right here in the place no one else knew existed. The divine alarm. There are no postponements left, no silence long enough to drown out what I have set in motion. This is not a gentle reminder. This is a divine wake-up call, coded with an urgency that cannot be delayed. I have watched you silence the signals again and again, brushing off conviction with distraction, muting my warnings with convenience, and pushing spiritual decisions onto tomorrow's to-do list. But this moment was not designed to be ignored. I did not position this word in front of you by accident. I orchestrated it with intention, from heaven's calendar straight into your atmosphere. This is not something you scroll past and return to later. This is not a moment you sleep through and assume will return. This is me placing something weighty in your hands that demands action now. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks. From $50 to $100. I know how easily the noise of the world lulls you back into spiritual sleep, and how quickly your urgency fades after the emotion settles. So I have made this word an alarm, not soft music, but a sound designed to shake you awake. The kind of sound that echoes even after the message ends, that interrupts your comfort and refuses to be turned off. You have snoozed too many signals before, saying not now or maybe later. You told yourself you would respond when life felt calmer, but peace without obedience is a lie, and comfort without alignment is deception. I am not wrapping this in soft tones or poetic suggestions. I am wrapping it in fire and placing it directly in your spirit so you cannot avoid the call. There are things that cannot wait. There are assignments stalling because your obedience is being postponed. There are destinies hinging on your yes. While you wait for another word, I am reminding you that the last one still stands. I have not changed the instruction or shifted the call. I have just increased the volume. This time, I have made the alarm impossible to mute. That unease you feel, that pressure that will not let you settle, that is not stress. That is me. That is my spirit thundering through the atmosphere of your delay. I am waking up what you tried to numb and stirring what you thought you could bury beneath busyness. You thought you would move when the timing felt better, but timing submits to my voice, not your preference. And the time is now. I am not interested in partial movement or half-hearted steps. I am waiting for full surrender, and I am using this moment to demand it. I am sounding the alarm through this very message. And your response is not optional. You have been waiting for me to prove I am serious. This is that proof. You have wanted clarity. Here it is, raw, loud, and undeniable. While you think you can delay with minimal cost, what you are risking is not just your peace, but your purpose. Doors are opening right now that will not remain open indefinitely. Divine appointments are aligning that require your presence, not your potential. I am calling you to rise, not consider. I am calling you to move, not manage. This is not a suggestion for your spiritual calendar. This is the moment everything turns. If you sleep through this, if you ignore the sound I have released, you will feel the silence that follows, not because I will abandon you, but because I have already spoken, and I do not repeat what I have made clear. You cannot snooze what I have declared urgent. You cannot mute what I have marked as eternal. I have marked this moment with a frequency only your spirit can fully feel. That tension you sense is not a coincidence. That stirring in your chest is not drama. That fire pressing into your bones is not emotional. It is me, your Father, your Commander, your King, shaking you from slumber, sounding the alarm, and demanding the yes that unlocks what has been held back for too long. I am not knocking anymore. I am calling out. I have stepped into the middle of your atmosphere and sounded the alert. What happens next depends on whether you move now or fall back into the sleep I have already disrupted. One thing is certain, the alarm has sounded, and heaven is watching to see if you rise when it rings. Silencing the noise. Every noise that has cluttered your spirit, every mental thread that has pulled you from divine focus, every atmosphere that has kept you spinning in confusion, I silence it now under the authority of my voice. Not softly, not politely, but with the full weight of my presence, which does not ask for permission to invade what belongs to me. I am not competing for your attention. I am not whispering over the chaos, hoping you will hear me through the static. I am thundering through the fog with a voice that splits distractions like lightning through darkness. This moment is not casual, it is sacred, and I will not let the clutter continue. You have tried to manage the noise, thinking you could keep one hand on your purpose while the other entertains every lesser priority. But I am not asking for part of you, I am commanding all of you. I am not inviting you into balance, I am commanding alignment. There is no agreement between divine focus and divided loyalty. That is why everything that used to hold your gaze now feels dull, and why things that once felt necessary suddenly feel empty. I have begun the process of stripping your appetite for what does not feed your calling. I have exposed the things that demanded your attention but gave you nothing in return. I have allowed the silence to become heavy so that even you can no longer pretend your distractions are harmless. They are not. They are enemies of clarity. And clarity is no longer optional. It is essential for where I am taking you. You thought you were tired from the journey, but you are weary because of the noise. You have been giving your energy to voices I never sent, scrolling through storms that were not meant for you to witness, and opening doors in your mind that were never yours to walk through. I have watched as your peace evaporated, not because you sinned, but because you stopped listening. So I come now, not as a suggestion, but as an interruption, a divine invasion meant to crash the cycle. You said, I'll come back to you when things settle. But I say to you, I am the one who settles things by commanding the storm to cease. I am not waiting for your schedule to clear. I am clearing it. I am not asking for a slot in your attention span. I am claiming my throne in your inner world. I have already begun to remove the unnecessary, that relationship that suddenly feels distant, that conversation that does not land the way it used to, that hobby that no longer satisfies, that craving that faded without warning. It was not a coincidence. That was me. I am purging what kept you pacified while your purpose waited. I am shaking the foundation of every idol built in the name of balance because I did not call you to juggle. I called you to abide. Abiding leaves no room for noise that disrupts my presence. So I am commanding the distractions to fall, to bow, to lose their grip on your attention. You will no longer be able to tolerate what once consumed you. The music, the opinions, the endless scrolling, the mental clutter dressed as productivity. I am removing their power over you. You will try to return to them, but they will feel foreign. You will attempt to numb yourself with them, but they will feel hollow. Once I have touched a room in your heart, distraction cannot dwell there undetected. This interruption is not temporary, it is structural. I am rewiring the way your spirit handles input and retraining your discernment. You will not be able to unsee what I have shown you or unhear the clarity I am delivering. You asked for more of me. This is the cost. The clearing of every lesser voice, the dethroning of every counterfeit demand, the exposure of everything that disguised itself as urgent but lacked eternal weight. This is not about discipline. It is about deliverance. You are being delivered not from a demon, but from distraction. The one thing subtle enough to look harmless while keeping you bound. But no longer. I speak now into your atmosphere and say, focus, return, realign. Every voice that is not mine must fall silent. Every competing desire must be surrendered. I am not allowing anything else to speak louder than my command, because this interruption is not just holy, it is irreversible. The holy demolition. You prayed for peace, and I heard you. But peace does not come from keeping everything familiar intact. It does not grow inside systems that slowly drain your strength while pretending to serve you. The very thing you called stable has become a snare. What you labeled normal has begun to rot your purpose from the inside out. While you were trying to protect your rhythm, I was watching your spirit weaken under the pressure of pretending you were okay. I am not here to adjust what you built to survive. I am here to dismantle it. That is why everything you thought was safe is now shaking, and why what once gave you control now feels like a prison. I have begun the demolition, not because I am cruel, but because I refuse to let destruction wear a mask and live beside you undetected. You did not see it coming. You thought I would enter your life quietly and rearrange things slowly, gently. But I am not doing spring cleaning. I am initiating a holy takeover of every structure that has held you hostage under the banner of comfort. You wanted me to fit into what you had already arranged. But I came to confront what you never dared to challenge. The cycle you built to manage pain, the habits that kept you from crashing but also from flying, the relationships that felt loyal but limited you, the patterns that numbed your discernment. I have drawn my sword against them all because I love you too much to allow you to live in a rhythm I never blessed. You have been functioning under pressure, adapting instead of advancing, and surviving by systems that are slowly suffocating your spirit. I see the parts of your day that feel harmless but are loaded with compromise. I see how you justify staying still by calling it rest when it is really avoidance. I see how you call it consistency when it is really captivity. Now I have come not to counsel the routine, but to crush it, because it is killing you silently. You are not thriving, you are maintaining. You are not walking in power, you are walking in predictability. And predictability without my presence is spiritual decay. I will not let you keep rearranging the furniture in a house I never asked you to live in. I am not tweaking your routine. I am tearing the roof off of it. I am not patching the cracks. I am burning the blueprint. The design that once protected you is now the very thing blocking what I want to pour into your life. I am not interested in blessing what is broken if it was never built on me to begin with. So I am flipping tables. I am exposing the craftiness. I am collapsing what you spent years perfecting, not to embarrass you, but to liberate you. I did not come to affirm what you accepted. I came to awaken what has been buried beneath years of self-preservation. Awakening never feels comfortable. It always feels like an interruption. That is why you felt the ground shifting, the old ways failing, and the people you depended on growing distant. It is not sabotage, it is separation. I am removing the parts of your life that were part of the enemy's long-term strategy to slowly dull your fire. I am doing it quickly, decisively, and unapologetically, because the time for tolerating what has tolerated you is over. I am not a gentle visitor. I am a holy invader. I do not tiptoe around dysfunction. I tear it out at the root. I will not stop until every false source is dismantled and every weak foundation crumbles under the weight of my presence. I am not afraid of your discomfort. I use it to expose what you were never meant to keep. Do not resist me. Do not hold on to the routine as if it is your lifeline. I am your lifeline. If you let me, I will rebuild what routine replaced, reignite what ritual buried, and restore what religion numbed. This is not about refinement, it is about revolution. I am flipping the tables in your temple because I know what has been operating behind the curtain, and I will not let you offer me parts of yourself while hiding the rest inside a schedule you call structure. I want it all, even the pieces you only function through, but no longer believe in. I am destroying what has been destroying you, even if you have called it home. Only when it falls can my kingdom rise inside you. A voice unmuted. You have kept quiet for too long, not just in words, but in surrender. You smiled while shrinking, you nodded while numbing, and you existed in spaces that required your voice, yet you withheld it to avoid shaking the comfort of others. In your quiet compliance, your spirit began to whisper for rescue. That whisper has reached me, and I am not whispering back. I am thundering through the walls you built to survive. I am not waiting for you to find the words. I am releasing the kind of command that does not need your permission to echo. You kept your mouth closed to avoid confrontation, thinking that stillness would protect your peace. But the silence did not create peace. It created pressure. It made room for fear to settle in places where courage was meant to dwell. Every time you stayed silent when I asked you to speak, something inside you tightened. Every time you held back your obedience because of what others might think, your authority dimmed. But I never called you to be quiet for the sake of harmony. I called you to roar with truth. You have mistaken passivity for wisdom and caution for discernment. I am not calling you to be agreeable. I am calling you to be obedient. And obedience speaks. Obedience moves. Obedience disrupts atmospheres when necessary. I am not asking you to become loud in volume. I am calling you to become undeniable in presence. The version of you that has bowed to fear to be accepted is not the version I anointed. I did not place fire inside of you so you could keep extinguishing it with politeness. I did not give you discernment so you could sit in silence while darkness paraded unchallenged. I did not fill your spirit with divine urgency so you could keep explaining away your convictions to keep others comfortable. I gave you authority, and it is time to use it. This is not about rebellion, it is about realignment. I am realigning your voice with your vision. I am recalibrating your courage so it no longer needs consensus to speak. I am not just unmuting you, I am remantling you, because this next season will require a boldness that does not apologize for being called. I know you are afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of being too much, afraid of what will shift when you finally say what you were born to declare. But fear is no longer the gatekeeper. I am. And I am swinging the gates wide open now, not so you can tiptoe through, but so you can step out with the sound of heaven backing your every move. You were never meant to be a silent witness to the supernatural. You were meant to be a voice that shakes what is asleep and awakens what has been buried. That is why your silence has felt heavier lately, because it is not aligned with what I put inside you. It has become disobedience masked as humility, and I am breaking that mask now. I am calling you out of quiet surrender to fear and into loud agreement with me. Even if your voice trembles, I want it. Even if your hands shake, I will use them. Even if your knees knock, I will stabilize them. Your silence has lasted long enough. You have said, Lord, I'm waiting on you. But I have been waiting on your voice to agree with what I have already decreed over you. The earth is groaning for sons and daughters to rise, not to whisper, not to hide, not to delay, but to rise. Rise in boldness, not arrogance. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Rise in truth, not noise. Rise in purity, not performance. I am not asking you to impress. I am commanding you to release what I've been planting in secret. Your silence may have protected you from criticism, but it also withheld deliverance from people waiting on your obedience. I will not let that continue. The roar inside you must rise. You do not need a platform or a microphone. You just need to agree with me out loud, in full, without shrinking back. Let the fire speak. Let the river flow. Let the truth stand without apology. You have honored fear long enough. Now honor my word. I have given you a sword, not a pillow, and I intend for you to use it. Not tomorrow, not when you are more confident, but now. This command is not asking, seize it, sends a ripple into eternity that angels move upon. I know you feel overwhelmed by options, voices, opinions, and timelines, but strip all of it away, and one truth remains. Obedience is better than sacrifice. I do not need your perfection. I need your surrender. I am not looking for how loud you are in public, but how soft your heart is in private. That is where obedience begins. In the quiet wrestle between fear and faith, between hesitation and trust. Right now, I am pressing on that hidden space inside you where you have delayed my voice because you were waiting for signs. The truth is, my voice was the sign. The moment I spoke, it became holy ground. You did not need confirmation when I stirred your spirit, but doubt made you second-guess what your heart already knew. I saw you rehearse your obedience only to hide it behind questions that fear disguised as wisdom. But now I am lifting the veil. This is your time to act, not analyze. This is your moment to move, not to negotiate. You are standing at a crossing point between logic and faith, between hesitation and breakthrough. The step you have been afraid to take is the step that will shatter every ceiling you have lived under. My instructions are never random. They are precise, surgical, and timely. When I tell you to forgive, do it immediately. Not because they deserve it, but because it frees your hands for the miracles I want to place there. When I tell you to walk away from what is draining you, do not wait for closure. Walk away because your destiny cannot afford another delay. When I tell you to open your mouth and speak, speak boldly, because your words carry assignments, and silence can be disobedience when I have placed a trumpet in your lungs. This is not the hour to hesitate. There is a window open over you that will not stay open forever. That window was carved through your pain, your perseverance, and your private pressing. Now I'm opening it wide. Your obedience will either cause the oil to pour or the moment to pass. Choose wisely. Obedience is not about convenience, it is about alignment. I am not interested in your schedule. I am after your surrender. I am not consulting your comfort. I am calling your courage. Even now, there are things you know I told you to do. People to forgive, risks to take, seeds to plant, conversations to end, doors to close, invitations to decline, assignments to accept. I will not water down my instruction just to make it more palatable to your preferences. I am your Lord, not your assistant. When I speak, eternity shifts, and when you obey, heaven moves through you with precision. There are lives connected to your yes. There are breakthroughs waiting on the other side of your decision. Do you not see? What you are wrestling with is not just about you. It is generational, territorial, and kingdom related. You do not need more time. You need more trust. If you would just release what you are clutching, I would place in your hands something far greater than what you are afraid to lose. Obey now. Obey fully. Obey completely, because delayed obedience is still disobedience. And I love you too much to let you miss what I have prepared. I will not force you, but I will keep calling you. I will draw the line so clearly that your spirit trembles under the weight of my voice. Respond now. Heaven is listening. The generational key. There is something sacred resting in your hands right now, and it is not meant to be stored. It is meant to be sown. You have been entrusted with something that goes far beyond your lifetime, your understanding, and your personal comfort. What I have placed inside you is not simply for today. It is for the unlocking of a destiny that has been waiting in silence for generations before you. Do you realize the weight of that? The prayers your ancestors whispered, the tears that fell without answers, the cycles that seemed unbreakable, they are all looking toward this moment, this precise space in time where your obedience becomes the final key. Yet, you are standing here, hesitating, wondering if you are ready, if you are worthy, if it will even matter. I tell you with urgency, it matters. It matters more than you can comprehend. This is not about visibility or recognition. This is about spiritual inheritance and divine momentum that will not continue unless you release what I told you not to carry into tomorrow. That bitterness you have held on to, that resentment that has hardened your discernment, that fear masked as caution, it is all standing in the way of what I am about to do through you. You keep waiting for the right conditions, emotions, or circumstances. But I am not waiting for those things. I am waiting for your release. What you let go of will unlock what they could not. They fought hard, but they did not see the victory you are standing on the edge of. I honored their efforts, but I am choosing you to bring the final blow to what has been keeping your bloodline bound. This is generational. This is historical. This is not small. The forgiveness you are resisting is not about reconciliation. It is about liberation. The silence you have embraced is not humility. It is suppression. The delay you have justified is not wisdom. It is resistance. You have been holding on tightly to familiar patterns, assuming they are harmless. But those very patterns are the cages you have mistaken for security. I am reaching into your spirit now with a gentle but firm instruction. Let it go. Not later. Not eventually. Now. Let go of the narrative you have built around your pain. Let go of the shame you have carried like armor. Let go of the identity you formed through rejection. What I am building through you requires clean hands. Not perfect, but surrendered. I see that part of you that is exhausted from carrying what was not yours to begin with. I see the inner war between wanting to please everyone and being faithful to me. I see the nights you spent torn between peace and people. But today, my child, I need your courage to outweigh your loyalty to broken systems. What you choose to release now, whether it is a grudge, an addiction, a relationship, or an opportunity, will not just change your life. It will set off a chain reaction that alters the path of every life connected to yours. You may not see it with your natural eyes right now, but in the spirit, things are shaking. Strongholds are trembling. Bondages are loosening. Not because you fought harder, but because you finally obeyed and released what was rotting in your grip. Heaven has been waiting for your release to authorize a transfer. That transfer holds divine strategy, generational healing, supernatural provision, and timely alignment. This is not poetic, this is prophetic. What you release now becomes the weapon that destroys what has been plaguing your lineage. You have been crying out for a breakthrough, but what if the miracle is tied to your ability to let go? This is your invitation to maturity, to authority, to victory. You are not letting go because you are giving up. You are letting go because you finally understand your assignment. You are not meant to hold everything. You are meant to carry only what is holy. I will not allow you to walk into this next season dragging the weights I commanded you to leave behind. My child, if this message struck your spirit, it was not a coincidence. It was a divine collision with your timeline. I brought you here. I spoke directly to the part of you the world tried to silence. But this is not the end. It is only the beginning. You must return again and again, because I will keep speaking. And the next word may carry the key to your next breakthrough. Subscribe, not just for content, but for consistent encounter. Click the bell, not for alerts, but for alignment. Amen.